And we are here for the Multiplay podcast. Once again, it is Doc and Luke. We are live tonight on both YouTube and on Facebook. So head to Docky Darko on Facebook and you can chat with us live during the live broadcast tonight. And of course, the same on YouTube, Docky Darko, look it up. The Multiplay podcast, of course, is available on all good podcast services, including iHeartRadio. So that's the main one to go check out. So go grab it there. And of course, you can find all the links for it at dockydarko.com. Hey, Luke, how you going, mate?
Hey, buddy. How's things?
Mate, it's been a minute. So we started this as another weekly podcast that went bi-weekly again. And the reason
Better than
is
the bi-yearly we were.
It was bi-yearly, you're right. The reason we had a bit of a stall last week was because of the Cyclone Alfred that hit our area.
How did you guys go at your place?
Yeah, good. We're all on the Sunshine Coast here. So ultimately, we didn't get affected by the cyclone as much as what we thought it did, which is a fantastic thing. It could have been a lot worse than it was. It hit Bribie Island and then just sort of dissipated into a tropical low. I'm sure Bribie Island don't feel like it dissipated because they got hit pretty hard, and also Brisbane and Gold Coast, and thinking of our friends and people listening there, they got hit pretty hard. But then this morning, for us, for the time, if you're listening to the podcast, it's a Monday. But this morning, poor old Nambour got hit extremely hard with some flooding, and that happened right across the Sunshine Coast, and was lots of school closures and things like that as well. So throughout the day. So it's like they did say when the cyclone came through, look out for the whip of its tail as it came through. And I think Harvey Bay and places like that also got hit extremely hard with it. But we got real lucky, I think. Real lucky.
Yeah, no, definitely. It looks like Gold Coast also copped it pretty bad.
Yeah, I saw some photos today of the Gold Coast beaches before and after. And there's like some places there's like a 7-meter drop.
7 meters, wow.
Yeah, crazy drop. Like the sand's just been completely taken away. But no, I think
there's a lot of houses that are pretty close to the beach there would have been worrying.
Yeah. It's always been a worry around that area, erosion and things like that. So I think they're in for a world of hurt at the moment for the rebuilding phase of all that. And of course, the Gold Coast being one of the major, tourist destinations of Australia, it's the place where you think to go when you want to go and have fun in the sun. Hence Gold Coast. They're calling it the Grey Coast at the moment.
I think one of the beaches at the Gold Coast had just been ranked like top 5 beaches in the world. Now it's just half of it's gone.
And then along comes Cyclone Bruce Wayne's butler.
Yeah.
And Cyclone Alfred, and just wipes out the beaches. And naturally, like, there's some people doing it real tough now too. Torn people's homes to pieces, flooding. Can you imagine? Like, I was thinking the worst, like for us, like if flooding came through the house and just all the, my gaming consoles, they're quite close to the floor.
Because even when I was packing stuff up the day or two before, I was like, oh, should I get the PC, do something with the PC, unplugged it all, put it up on the bench just in case. But obviously turned out fine where we were. But yeah, those precautions. I know one friend that went and stayed up at like Mapleton just to get away because they're quite low lying down on the canals.
Right.
Took the PC.
Did they rent somewhere up there, or did they know someone up there?
No,
just rented.
Hotel,
It's going to head on up to Mapleton. No worries.
Take the rig.
Yeah. So, like, generally, our thoughts are with everyone who's doing it tough at the moment, and hopefully, doing a bit of a podcast like this can make you feel a little bit happier as we talk video game news and things like that to take your mind off it. It's an important thing too. I think I often think of video games as a way to escape from what's happening around the real world and sometimes the stresses in your own life as well. I used to play a lot of Destiny with a group of friends, and it was a great way to catch up with people and talk and just get to know other people as well. I think that's what video games do for me. I don't know about everyone else, but for all the hate they get in a lot of press, for me, what it does is it gives me some escapism, much like watching a movie or anything like that. So that's why we talk video games, movies, and pop culture here.
Definitely.
So let's head on into our news of the week, where we talk gaming, movies, and podcasts. And this week we wanted to talk a little bit about live service games. If you're not familiar with what a live service game is, it's basically a game that's designed for ongoing updates and new content to keep players engaged over time. They dominate gaming at the moment. There's 40% of playtime on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S in the last month have spent playing just 10 live service games. that 70% of active players engage with at least one of the top titles. There's a top 10 titles, and those games are Fortnite, Minecraft, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, Rocket League, Grand Theft Auto Online, Destiny 2, Marvel Rivals, and there's two EA Sports games, which I'm assuming one of those would be FIFA Ultimate Team. What would the other one be, you reckon?
Maybe, I don't know. Is Madden still a thing?
Yeah, maybe
Definitely one
Madden,
FIFA for sure.
maybe NBA Live even could be, I guess, one of the NBA games. I can't imagine it's the golf. I love playing golf on VR, but yeah.
I would
So
doubt.
we play ourselves. I didn't really consider myself as a live service gamer until I remembered that that's pretty much what Destiny 2 is, and it's one of my favorite games. So
I'm so surprised by that number. 40% of all
yeah,
playtime is on those 10 games.
and you can see, like, looking at those figures, why Sony and other companies were putting so much development into making their own next big live service game. And, we saw recently games like Suicide Squad failed miserably. Concord barely got released. It was released and then pulled a short time later, which wasn't a bad game. It was just too close to the Apex Legends and things like that that are already there and servicing a need.
Even
Fortnite
Is Apex still big? Because I remember like when it came out and I just never hear anything about it anymore.
it's funny. I think I heard a little while ago that Marvel Rivals took a great big chunk out of Apex when
Okay.
when it launched, but I think Apex has started to grow that back.
Yeah, look, I've been playing a little bit of Marvel Rivals, but
Mm,
I don't know. I see them as kind of different games. I think Apex more to me is would be taken from Call of Duty, I would think. But yeah, I don't know. I
mm.
guess once people get that one game, like
Yeah,
I got a couple of guys at work that we always chat games, and they're Destiny 2 diehards.
yeah,
Still to this day,
yeah.
every time new update or new expansion comes out, they're in all the time.
It's the same. There were two games that I have that are my game between games, and that was Destiny 2, which I don't play much of anymore because I let it go away and didn't keep up to date with all the latest updates that come out because it got very expensive. I mean, the other one's FIFA, but I tend to play FIFA more offline than anything. So, but those are, they're two games on that list that are the games between games. So when a game like, say, Assassin's Creed comes out, I'll play that for a bit, but then I'll immediately go back to one of those two games. So yeah. What did you think of Marvel Rivals?
I like it. Look, I haven't played a great
Yeah.
deal. Only played probably 4 hours, maybe,
Yeah.
and I had a really good night last week. I think it was had a really good few rounds with Winter Soldier, and I was like, oh, I really like this game. And then I jumped on, I think, a few nights later with my brother, and we were playing, and I got absolutely destroyed. And I was like, that's a big part why I don't play those games. Like I dabble every now and again. I played a bit of
Yeah.
Rocket League. I play the Call of Duty campaign. I don't really play the multiplayer much. Played a little bit of six multiplayer, but not too much. So I dabble a little bit. Like I played it. I always play the Battlefield games, but I don't know. I don't consider those a live service game. I don't really know what the definition of a live service game is these days, but I
Yeah.
guess I consider a lot of these games like the free ones I consider live service where it's just you get this free thing and then you're just expected to
Yeah.
play all the time. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess Battlefield is live service, right? It's just multiplayer and you keep going and you get updates and expansions and they just want to get you hooked for play for as long as you can.
That's the idea of a live service is to get you hooked and get as much as your wallet over a long period of time as they can. And, games like Destiny and that are just putting out constant updates and constant DLC. That's a game that started off as a paid game and went free
That's true.
eventually as
Yeah.
well. So, I think that was one that discovered that it was live service later on.
Yeah. It's all the cash cow that like Fortnite and those guys are doing, right? Where it's just
Yeah. That's
and
one
look,
game
Destiny
I
still
just
releasing
still don't
those big
get
expansions. Fortnite.
the immense popularity of it.
It's kids, right? It's
Yeah.
kids. Play dress ups, shoot some shit, build some.
Yeah.
I think the building's not even a big part of it anymore. I don't know. I haven't played it in like 5 years, but
And
the
probably streamers as well. Like, it's easy for a streamer to play and talk at the same time, whereas a lot of yeah.
yeah, and they took that battle royale thing that PUBG had done and just kidified it, I think, and made
Mm.
it a bit more poppy. And then people just the kids, especially like my nephew and stuff, all his mates, that's all they played for a long time. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and all this stuff. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
right? Yeah. I think we were talking about it a bit offline during the week, how I didn't really get Fortnite, but I loved PUBG when it came out.
Hmm.
And it sort of fits into the fact that I didn't really like VHS, but I liked Beta when it came out. And I didn't really like Blu-ray when it came out, but I loved
HD
HD
DVD.
DVD.
Yeah, whatever one you bet on, we go the opposite, and then we
Mate,
got a
just
sure thing.
yeah, we'll do that with the horse racing next week, all right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Have you played Death Stranding?
No, I haven't
The
played Death
first one?
Stranding. I saw like I watched the reviews and I read a little bit about it when it came out. The walk 'em up kind of
Yeah, the
pack
walking
pack your,
simulator, they
pack
call it.
your backpack and just start
Yeah.
walking or whatever. It's a those weird Kojima games, man. I don't get it,
Man,
but
that's the thing. It's one of those weird games where you have to have a lot of time to put into it. And so I think for a lot of people, they look at it and go, I need a lot of time to play this game. And it can be quite daunting because I could do that or I could go back to Fortnite, for example.
mhm.
But Death Stranding 2 on the Beach just released its new trailer. It's too long to play during this podcast. It's massive. They've released a great big chunk of the game to watch, and it is absolutely beautiful. That's the thing about these games. They are stunning. Hideo Kojima knows how to make a trailer, and it is phenomenal. The release dates come with it as well. So the highly anticipated sequel is going to launch on the 26th of June. Pre-orders are starting on the 17th of March, and of course, once again, stars Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead, and Ellie Fanning's in this one as well. Looks like a really good game. To top it off, what they're going to do is they're going to do a Death Stranding Harmony concert series. So they're doing live concerts around the world, starting at the Sydney Opera House in November.
There you go.
Is
And
that
so,
the
what is
sort of
it?
thing you
Just
would go to?
music from the game. Look, if it
Yeah.
was a different game, maybe, but I don't think I'd go to the Death Strand concert.
Yeah,
So
I know,
it's just
right?
music from the game. Is it like renowned for having a good soundtrack?
Stunning music throughout the game. So I think I think fans are going to love that, but I don't know how many fans in Australia are going to be heading along to the Sydney Opera House to watch that. I'll be proven wrong, and I'll be happy to be. But yeah, we'll see how that goes in November.
I think video game soundtracks don't get the credit that they deserve a lot of the time. I think
Yeah.
yeah, it's getting there now. You see a lot of these choirs and stuff, sorry, orchestras doing, video game soundtrack nights and that kind of thing. So what's your favorite video game score?
Oh, good question. Very good question. Out of the blue, maybe Doom, like the
2016?
new. Yeah,
It's great. Yeah,
that
it's
that
fantastic.
that music really makes the game. Like it's a high impact, high intense game to start with, but when you add that music, I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. That's a real good one.
Yeah,
It's one that I don't think about as much with score wise, but it's
yeah,
just how it flows and like I say, how it sets the tempo of the levels.
yeah.
It's a cracker.
What about
There's some
you?
really good behind the scenes stuff on the guy who did that too. He's an Aussie guy who did that
Yeah,
score.
right. And then I
Mine,
think they had a falling out,
yeah, in the
and
second game, yeah, they ended
yeah,
up replacing him and getting someone else in. I can't remember why, but yeah, they had a big falling out.
it reminds me of Trent Reznor,
Hmm.
9 Inch Nails. Like it's
Hmm.
got that real sort of that industrial.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
for sure.
cool. Yeah.
And
Wait,
then
what
Trent now, he's a real good movie.
yeah, yeah, he
Yeah,
does movies now. Yeah.
he's awesome.
Same with
Um,
Mike Patton from Faith No More also.
oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so he does. I don't know if you've ever played the Darkness game. He was the voice of the Darkness in
Yeah,
that, like
I did play
doing
that
his
game.
vocal talents, but now, yeah, doing a lot
That
of
was a
other stuff.
few years ago now, that game.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Getting those tentacles with all the
Yeah.
weapons and stuff. Yeah, that was sick.
Mate.
My
Movie
favorite one
score?
would be Morrowind.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that was the first one
Why
where
that one?
I
Yeah.
got really into that one, and I bought the collector's edition of the game, and it came with the score,
Yeah,
and so I
sure.
had the score, so I listened to it a lot, and then played the game crazy amount, and then
Mm.
Jeremy Soule, who's the composer who did all those, he did Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. He did all the scores on all of them, and it gets like there's a lot of motifs and themes that continue on in each score. There's
Yeah.
new stuff that comes in as well, but that Morrowind one is just man, it's amazing. It's so good.
I think that's the benchmark almost of a good game score. if you can listen to it without playing the game,
for
then
sure.
it's a great score. And I
I
think
still
that's
listen to it to this day at work.
yeah,
That's my like
right.
thinking music. Is I put on. I have a combination of that, Oblivion and Skyrim, but like those all together is like my background music when I'm trying to focus at work. I put on
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls.
Really?
Yeah,
Mate,
I
I'm
love it.
listening to Sabrina Carpenter Espresso.
Oh, mate, there you go. It's different strokes for different folks.
That so this is some big news that came out during the week. It's movie news. Bond, James Bond is an Amazon product now. So an internal Amazon Studios memo leaked reportedly confirms that James Bond will remain male and British or from the Commonwealth. With Amazon now in full creative control of the franchise, speculation about its future is growing. Past ideas like a Miss Moneypenny series may resurface. Amazon MGM Studios are yet to announce official plans for the franchise, though.
Yeah, look, I was reading this earlier in the week, and I think a lot of people are freaking out. I think
Mm.
we don't know yet. It could be bad. It could be good.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, they've had some control already, MGM, right? And it's just a case of they now have full control.
yeah,
But I think, look, we've got to see what happens. The only thing I'm worried about, like all of this stuff, where big corporation kind of jumps in and buys something, not that they didn't already own it, but that is, I don't want them to do what they did with Star Wars, and there's a new
just
thing
milk it.
every month.
Yeah,
Just you know, keep it to one Bond film every 2 or 3 years. If I get to
yeah,
go and see a Bond movie at the cinema every 2 or 3 years, I'll be happy. If it's
yeah,
like that kind of cadence that they do with Mission Impossible, man, I'll be stoked with that. I don't need 6 shows. I don't need a Miss Money Penny offshoot.
yeah. No, I
or
don't either. Like, I really wouldn't. I don't care less about Miss Moneypenny in the series. I love her in the movies, but I don't want to know more.
I don't need to know
But
the background of Q.
no, sometimes knowing more actually ruins the story. Like,
Yeah, Star
it's
Wars.
just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't need
Yeah,
to follow Miss Moneypenny home from work. That sounds a lot weirder than I meant it. But that is just, yeah, I don't need any of that. The one example I would use as a great one though is the Penguin series for the
they
Batman
did it
film.
well.
They did it really well. I didn't when I heard that was going to come out, and I was like, oh, I'm not interested in the Penguin. I'm interested in the Penguin when Batman's around. But when I watched that show, I was like, oh, wow, they basically just made The Sopranos, but with the Penguin. This is incredible, and it is an incredible show. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go watch it. But that is a really good example of them doing it well.
Yeah, but it's not
Yeah.
just backstory for backstory's sake, right? You need
Mm.
to have the story. So you say like if it's Sopranos but with the Penguin, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's there must be substance to the story, right? And that's why
Yeah.
of all the things that they've done in Star Wars over the last 10 years, the only one that I really liked that was one of those little offshoots was Andor, because it was just a cool side story, but
Yeah.
it's its own little story where there's a beginning, middle, and an end, and it was just awesome.
Here's what I hate about Andor.
Yep.
I love the show, but I know how it's going to end. And that's what I hate about prequels in general is that
Yeah,
I know that
it's the
where his
journey, Tom.
redemption arc is going, where everything's going. I know how it's going to end for him because we've already seen it in the movie. Like, and that's the frustrating. And sure, I got excited when I saw the trailer drop during the week of Andor season 2, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I know how it's going to end. So, is it the journey there? Is it good enough to warrant me watching it? Yeah, because it's Star Wars, I'll watch it. But at the same time,
No,
it's a
I get
prequel.
it. I
Prequels
get it.
suck.
Like, they can be good. They can be good.
Name
I'm
a
trying.
good.
I'm trying to think of a good
Yeah.
one. Uh, Look, it has its flaws,
Yeah.
but I actually really like episode 3. I think episode 3 is one of those things where people have been waiting for literally 30 years to find out how Darth Vader became Darth Vader.
Yeah. Didn't care.
It was
Didn't
a
care.
rocky 2 movies to get to it, but
Yeah.
when it got
You know,
there, I thought episode 3, which I think now that'd be 20 years anniversary or 25-year anniversary at the moment for episode 3.
yeah.
But that I think the journey was worth it get
The
there.
problem with it is showing it on the screen will never live up to how you imagined it in your own mind from watching the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi films. Like, I don't need to know how Darth Vader was formed because by knowing it takes away his menace. He's this mysterious, dark menace, and you take that away by almost humanizing him.
Oh, he had it taken away because
Yeah.
he didn't have the high ground. Right?
Yeah. They just took the legs right out from under him. So Bond, who do you think should play Bond?
We're gonna watch episode 3 one day, and I'm gonna turn you on this.
Okay.
I'm gonna
All right.
convert you.
Yeah.
Who should play Bond? I don't know. I think people have said, it should be a black guy or like that kind of thing. If Amazon's kind of keep it old school, I'm happy with that. Not that I don't think it could change, but
Yeah.
I think that they need to go young. I reckon they did with Daniel Craig, where they kind of reset the whole thing and went back to the beginning. Maybe go some young up and comer again.
If you say go young, does that mean Henry Cavill has aged out of being Bond, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
As much as you'd
Because
want
I
him
would
in
love to see
there, I
him
know
as
you
Bond.
would.
I would love it. But at the same time, I am of the same opinion that maybe he's aged out because you want to get a trilogy out of him at least. You want to get 3 films.
Oh, for sure, probably more. How many did Craig do? Maybe 5, 6?
4, 5, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 5. Yeah, look, I don't know. Do you do the old grizzled Bond maybe for a few and just see how that goes? It could be cool.
Yeah. Nah. Let's go young and cool. And people are talking about that Aaron Taylor from from the Craven film.
Yep.
But I just feel like everything he's been associated with recently has been a flop. So
Yeah, it's not a good start.
no, he's like the English Jared Leto. Put him in it, movie or bomb.
Is the anti-Rock.
Yeah. Yes. Although the Rock is kind of the anti-Rock at the moment.
Yeah, he's
isn't he?
done some stinkers lately for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know. When you say go black Bond, I really love the idea of Idris Elba as Bond, but I feel like he's kind of aged out of it
I was
now as
about
well.
to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But it's hard, right? Because I don't know what your opinions are of those last Daniel Craig Bonds, but they kind of did beginning to end of the whole Bond story in that. Right?
Yeah. It was a full arc and with a massive death, unescapable death at the end.
Yeah.
Even
exactly.
for Bond.
Like,
yeah.
Exclamation mark. There's no question mark. It's just.
Yeah. He was screwed on so many levels.
Yeah.
And just went, yeah, it's done.
And so I think, like, I don't know, I hope they do something original with it. I hope that it's not just a rinse repeat of old stuff. Like, get weird with it again. Maybe make it like the 60s, where it got real weird.
Yeah.
Maybe you do that,
what Fantastic Four?
Like what we were talking last week with James Gunn doing Superman, right? How it's like, it's not last week, the week before. How we were talking, there's that Silver Age inspiration and some of the weirdness is there, right? So
it embraces the weirdness, doesn't it?
100%. 100%. So I think you do that and go get in the crazy villains, the weird contraptions, the sharks with lasers attached to their head.
Does it become a parody of itself if you do that? Does it become Austin Powers instead of James Bond? So you have to do that and take yourself seriously at the same time, and that could be a dangerous concoction. Yeah, be interesting to see what they do. Amazon go one of two ways. They either follow exactly to the source material or they go well off. And I think the Rings of Power is a great example of that for going well off. But then there's shows like Reacher and Cross, which are fantastically close to what the books are. So it'd be really interesting to see which way they go with James Bond anyway.
Yeah, I'll watch it for sure. I love a good Bond movie. What's your favorite?
Yeah. Favorite Bond? Ooh, good question. My favorite James Bond actor is one that isn't most people's. It's Timothy Dalton.
Really?
So maybe The Living Daylights might be my favorite movie.
I haven't watched a Timothy Dalton Bond in years. Why Dalton? What makes Dalton?
Because he took Bond a little bit more serious, and I felt like it was how a spy should be at that age that I was when they came out.
Mhm.
That felt like James Bond to me. As much as I loved Roger Moore, and I completely skipped Sean Connery when I was younger, but then I went back and watched it later, obviously. If I was to pick a favorite Connery, it'd be probably Goldfinger. I love
Yep.
that movie. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, see, because I'm a little bit younger than you, dog.
Little bit.
So when they were coming out, I was all about like GoldenEye. I was a PS man.
Oh
And
man,
so they
Pierce
like
Bro, nah.
as come on.
I like Pierce
Those
Brosnan as Bond, but nah.
I'm not saying he's the best, but just that was my Bond, right? That's
Yeah, you
as
know
they were
why?
coming
Because
out.
Nintendo sold that to you.
No, no, I didn't even have a
Nintendo
Nintendo.
fully sold
I
that to
played
you.
that at my mate's house. It was good. I
Yeah,
loved GoldenEye, but even the bad ones,
yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough.
World's not enough.
I
Yeah,
remember one going to the cinemas and watching those, and the gadgets. I loved the gadgets. Driving the car with the remote
yeah.
control phone, the pen in gold, and all this cool little gadget stuff. I loved the video games. They were terrible, but that was all I had on PS1. I
Yeah.
loved it. Those games were great.
I'm
So
pretty
look,
sure I
not
had
much,
the Living Daylights video game on Commodore 64 or something. It was like a side scroller.
but looking back on it now, if I said my favorite Bond, realistically, it would probably be Daniel Craig. I think Casino Royale is a super strong movie, and I think
Yeah.
Skyfall is probably one of the best Bonds ever.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I agree. They
Great.
what I love about it is they're fantastic movies, full stop.
Yep.
It's a bit like when we talk about Captain America, Civil War, and Winter Soldier. They're just hands down great movies, let alone superhero movies. So they're just
Yeah.
great spy thrillers. So I think that's very much the same. You want
What's
to
your
share?
thoughts quickly on
Yeah,
Her Majesty's Secret Service? Have you watched that recently?
I did watch it when it was released in the box sets, and
Yeah.
because I
Okay.
had them all on DVD and would watch them all. And I think I only watched it a couple of times and was really, yeah, it's not great, but
Yes.
not
Look,
terrible.
I
I think
never
it
had
was,
strong thoughts about it being
yeah,
Lazenby, and I read um, what's his name? The What's the director that did Goodfellas? I'm blanking for some reason.
Coppola.
No, not Coppola. Oh man, I can't believe I'm blanking on one of the best directors in the world.
Scorsese.
So Scorsese was talking about how
Yeah,
it was his favorite Bond movie, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
all right, I'll go watch it." And it is so weird. It has like the complete. There's no structure like a normal Bond movie.
yeah.
She dies at the end from that stray bullet and just gets
Oh,
killed in
yeah,
the car, and then
yeah,
it's like it's just so weird but different.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
really, yeah. I watched it and I was
It
like,
is
"Oh, that
weird,
was
and it is sad to see they didn't get to continue that story because they ran out of money and they went belly up.
yeah."
And he basically did, like, they asked him to do the next film for free,
Is that
and
what
he told him
happened?
to stick
I
it.
know he
Yeah,
left. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
interesting.
So
Because they set it
so
up
it
with
was
this crazy cliffhanger. I didn't know
yeah.
that there was like cash issues. There you go.
You've got a trailer you want to share with us this week?
I do.
I'll
So
swap over to you. Yeah,
I'll play it and then we can talk about it. But I think I'm not going to do sound or anything.
yeah.
You've
We
already
might
watched
get
this,
kicked
I'm
off.
assuming. It's GTA
Yeah,
6
yeah,
for anyone that's not sure.
yeah.
So
And if you're on the iHeart podcast,
yeah, exactly. I think I don't know what your thoughts are on GTA games, but my favorite by far is Vice City. So I think
yeah,
going back
okay, yeah.
to Vice City, the graphics look just crazy. I reinstalled GTA 5 this week because they just did
Oh,
an
did you
update.
really? Okay.
Yeah, they did an update on Epic to give everyone access to the enhanced edition that already owned the game. Crazy that how well that game holds up. And
Yeah.
then I've just been watching this trailer like every couple of days. I'm so pumped for GTA 6, man. I cannot wait.
You
This
know
is
this is going to get delayed again, right? So
No, it's
you're
not.
building up
It's
the
coming
hype,
in
and it.
September, dog. It's coming in September. I don't want to hear your negativity. There's obviously some weird stuff in this trailer, like the stuff that's pre-captured in like the Instagram stuff. But if
Yeah,
it looks half as good, look at these models, man. Look at
yeah, they're amazing. Yeah, the cars
wild.
look incredible. Like the lighting looks amazing. If you're listening to this, we were just watching that scene where there's the chick with the booty shaking it while hanging onto the top of the car, like she's twerking on top of the
Yeah.
car. And all the gratuitous, like sort of teenage me aside, the graphics on it are incredible. Like the motion and the movement is just
We can slow it down if you
amazing.
need to, dog.
Yeah, I don't want it slowed down. No, my wife might walk in, but it's like it's incredible. Like it just looks amazing
Yeah,
and
this
funny.
game.
That's what I love about these games. It's more than the graphics and the gameplay. Is they're just genuinely funny. Like I find myself laughing my ass off all the way through. There were moments in GTA 5. What was the crazy guy?
Trevor.
Trevor. Oh my God. There were moments where Trevor was doing something and I was like, this is just nuts. Like, this is great.
Man, so I went and looked it up because I was playing it the other day, GTA 5, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, when did this game come out? Because it feels like forever ago. September 2013.
Really?
That game came out in September 2013 and still looks amazing. I know
That
there's been
is,
updates and stuff, but
oh wow.
over nearly 12 years.
That is
And
insane. That is so long ago now.
yeah. And so there were 5 years between GTA 4 and GTA
Yeah.
5. It is going to be so good.
They
So
have
good.
12. I can give you the hot tip. They're going to have 13 years to work on this game. It is not coming out in September.
We are talking, it has to be at least 50% better than GTA 5 because it's taken this long.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to it anyway. Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out in September. You name the year.
I put a 6-pack on it that we get it by November.
All right, done. 6-pack of what am I drinking? Brouhaha.
Lock it in.
Pale ale. Let's
Yep.
lock it in.
I will drink them while I play GTA 6.
I've got something to share this week as well, and it's a trailer. How good does this look?
What is this coming out of?
Actual scenes from the movie. Look at that. Hasta la vista, baby. I'll stop it there, but it is actually Terminator 2D No Fate. Bitmap Bureau has announced that they're doing this game. It's a side-scrolling action game inspired by the 1990s Sega CD classics. So it's based on Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and it just relives all the stories and moments from that game. But you can play as Sarah Connor, John Connor, and the T-800. And it launches in September around the same time as Grand Theft Auto 6. I wonder which one will sell more.
Grand Theft
And it's
Auto will be
available
out before it, I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's available on all platforms. Like I loved a good 16-bit game.
I was going to say, I love that they're like coming back. You know, all these weird little indie side scroller games. Like this is cool because it's actual licensed, proper.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that looks dope. That
Looks
really
nuts.
cool.
If you were to bring back your favorite 80s, 90s movie as a 2D side-scrolling 16-bit glorious game, what would it be?
You would probably know better than me. Was there a Home Alone side scroller?
Oh, you know, there was a Home Alone, I think, Mega Drive game from memory back in the day. Home Alone.
Probably wouldn't make sense being like a side scroller, like, you know.
Super Nintendo.
Super
Yeah.
Nintendo.
So it would have been Sega Mega Drive as well. Yeah, that's what I would have seen it on.
Yeah.
But yeah, good shout out. Yeah, Home Alone's a good one. Yeah, I like
What would yours be?
Look, I think all mine were the same. I think most of the, like back in that era, a lot of my favorite movies were all Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, those sorts of games. And a lot of those were turned into games like that as well. But I don't know, maybe like something a bit more bizarre. Like we talked about Time Bandits last week.
Yeah.
How good a game would that be, side scrolling? going through
going
the different
through the different
eras.
different
Yeah.
times, different levels. That would be sick. What
Bumping
was
into
your
Sean Connery as a Roman general.
of course, with that voice.
Yeah,
What
it was
was your
great.
favorite of those, like the ones that did get made? Those side scrolling, beat 'em ups or whatever you want to call them. What was your
Yeah, I
favorite?
think they made one for Commando, which I really liked.
Arnie
Probably,
movie.
yeah,
Yeah. The
yeah.
let off some steam.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Jenny.
Oh,
Classic. Love
don't
that movie.
disturb my friend. He's dead tired. When he knocks him out in the plane, like kills him in the plane.
Uh,
It's so good. But probably the other one would be RoboCop, which was the
yeah.
side-scrolling RoboCop games were amazing, and there was a RoboCop versus Terminator as
Mhm.
well, which was there's such good games. I don't know if you played the RoboCop game that came out
No, I
last year.
didn't. I heard good things. It had some
It's
good
so
reviews on it.
good. Like it's just pure nostalgic glory. But they've done a DLC for it that's coming out soon. And basically you're at the bottom of OCP tower and you've got to get to the top. So it's basically, the raid or
Yeah.
movies like that. But also it reminds me of that scene from the RoboCop movie where he's got to get to the top to get to he shoots his way through Ed 209 and all the rest
And
of
that's
it.
it.
Yeah, DLC for the other one. So yeah, it'd be incredible. Looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
okay. I'll have to check it out.
Old school games making a comeback. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. Of course, they did 1 and 2 already, but now they're doing, which I think 3 is probably the best of the bunch. So the new game features new skaters, parks, tricks, expanded customization, new Hawk mode for competitive play, and it's going to be released for all consoles and PC. Day 1 access on Game Pass. July 11th is when it's coming out. But the thing I think is really bizarre is there's going to be some Doomslayer DLC available for it. So you'll be able to skate around as the Doomslayer.
As long as the Doom soundtrack accompanies him, that's fine.
That's right. But speaking of music from there, though, like Tony Hawk is synonymous with having a fantastic soundtrack on every single game. Can you remember off the top of your head a great song from a Tony Hawk game that you
Yeah,
still
definitely.
think's awesome?
So my favorite of all of them was 2.
Yeah.
I played 1 and 2 the most, but I think 2 is my favorite. And it would be either Rage, Guerrilla Radio,
Yep. Yep.
or Millencolin, No Cigar.
Right.
Oh,
Great
best song.
songs.
So good.
Mine's completely different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, hang on,
Johnny
I haven't
Cash.
guessed. Oh, go, yeah.
Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire.
What? What was that on? 3?
It was, I think it was on 3. And it was like, I remember like I entered this weird song started and I'm like, I'd never heard Johnny Cash before. And I was like, and I'm like, this is
So funny.
amazing. What is it? Because you're right. Like the other tracks you mentioned that they were full of songs like that. And then suddenly this Johnny Cash song came on. I was like, I went and discovered, I thought Johnny Cash was just some country artist I never wanted anything to do with. And I went back and listened to all the classics of Johnny Cash and was like, this guy is... Tony Hawk introduced me to Johnny Cash.
Funny how a skating game probably shaped so many people's taste in music, right?
Right.
Because I'd never heard Rage Against the Machine until I played Tony Hawk's 2.
Yeah. And hearing Guerrilla Radio on that, insane. So good.
I can, as soon as I hear that song, I picture parts of the levels.
Yeah.
Going down the one with the big water pipes. I'd skip through and I'd restart until I got to like Guerrilla Radio, restart the level. All right, Guerrilla Radio, sweet. Now I can go do my run.
Yeah, right. It's so good. Like, Tony Hawk.
So good, man.
Yeah, they were really good games.
I
Have you played
those
the
'cause I don't think
remaster?
I didn't play 3 and 4 much. I played 1 and 2 a lot. I played the remaster, which they were great remasters. Because remember they did a remaster before the last one that was a bit off.
It was a bit sketchy, yeah.
Yeah, and then I played that other one and it was great. So if it's the same guys doing this one that did the last remaster, then I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah, it is. The remaster was really good. Looking forward to this. And of course, the thing that excites me the most is I don't have to pay for it because it's going to be on Game Pass.
So good.
So that's awesome. So
And
Tony
Doom
Hawk
Guy.
Pro Skater. Yeah, Doom Guy. When you hear him called the Doom Slayer, it's like, I don't think I ever
Doom
called
Guy.
him that. It was always Doom Guy. You played The Last of Us games. You've watched the series. Neil Druckmann, the creator of The Last of Us, has cast doubt on the possibility of a third game in the franchise. He's saying that fans shouldn't expect more. He emphasized that the second game provides closure to the series, so it could be the last of The Last of Us. Do you think it should end where it was?
Look, it's tough. I think you can go back to the well too many times. You know, if the
Yeah,
story that I think the way he's going about it is probably the way to do it and set the bar
yeah,
expectations low. I'm sure they will do it. They did 4 Uncharted's. I'm sure they'll probably do another Uncharted at some point,
yeah,
even though that had a quite nice ending on it in part four. But I think part two is a lot of people had thoughts about that game that maybe weren't as positive as the first one, but I think it was amazing.
yeah.
And if you do
I
finish it
hated
there,
that moment. I hated it. Um,
for sure. But
but at the same
they want you
time,
to hate
it
it,
was yeah, they wanted me to.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's a powerful way to separate itself from that first game and say,
Mm,
"Cool, this is a whole new thing," you know. And yeah, you're not going to like us for it, but this is the story we're telling, and you're going to have to deal with it.
mm.
It's going to be crazy seeing that in the show.
I don't want to watch it. I've got to be honest. I loved the first season. I thought they handled it brilliantly. I thought it was a really good adaptation. But at the same time, it's a moment that I don't want to see again. Like it
Yeah,
scarred me. We love that character. And it's confronting like The Walking Dead, the way they killed off main characters in that show, and Game of Thrones, even killing off, you just start to like a character. Funnily enough, you just started to like Pedro Pascal in Game of Thrones, and
I think the thing in part two that I think shocked me more, right?
mm,
Because I think that happens early on, and you go, "Oh, okay." Obviously, it hits you like a ton of bricks, but then I think the twist later on, when the perspective flips and you
it's all right.
start.
You can say it. This is spoilers for a
I don't
game
know, but
with.
then you were doing it about like Joel, and I'm like, all right, I guess we're not spoiling as
You're
of what
right.
the
I
part
just
two
thought
is
about it. I was
saying.
like, you know what? Let's just
Yeah. Then the thing,
blur.
so after Joel gets brutally murdered by Abby, and then later in the game, you have to play Abby, and
Yeah,
they humanize Abby, and you realize that she's not that bad of a person. That I think is more of the twist where you're like,
yeah,
holy shit! Like, not only did you murder my favorite character, but now you're going to make me play the murderer for 14 hours.
yeah.
It was crazy, man. Like,
It was
that's
brutal. It
such
was
a
yeah,
brave choice. That's why I
yeah,
love that game. Like, I love the first one, and the first one is a stellar game. When I was
yeah,
looking up GTA 5, Last of Us came out that year as well. 2013, great year for games. Like, there were
yeah.
some crackers.
We haven't had a year like that for a long time.
And then,
Mm.
oh, the good thing is you get to just keep experiencing those games because they just re-release them over and over.
Yeah, here's the remaster. Now with extra ray trace. Just one.
Just one ray trace,
Just one more ray trace.
singular trace. What were your
All
thoughts
right.
on part three? Do you want to see a part three, or are you happy with where it's at in part two?
I'd be happy with them to leave it there, to be honest. Yeah, would I love it if they did part three? Would I play it? Absolutely. But at the same time, I'd be also happy if they left it there. It's a really beautiful world, I think. Dark, but also beautiful. And I think if they did a part three, maybe it was just completely different characters. Moved to a completely different part of the world.
Yeah, I think the thing that gets me most excited about Naughty Dog is that new game, that intergalactic,
Yeah. Yeah.
having them
How
do something
good.
different. Not Uncharted,
Yeah.
not Last of Us. I'm super keen to see more about that.
And it gives me real good sort of retro 80s sci-fi vibes. Like the way
Everything's
they've
broken
used the
down, and
branding throughout of it, the CD player. It's set to one of my favorite Pet Shop Boys songs, the trailer. I think that's great. There's a lot of hate online, but I completely disagree with everyone. I think it looks amazing. And Naughty Dog haven't let us down. They've
exactly.
never let us down.
At some point, you have to just go have faith, right? And it's got that kind of that cool kind of anime kind of style.
It looks very like even the ship looks like it should be Akira.
Yeah, man, I'm
Like
keen to
it's
see
yeah,
that.
it's really got cool. That actually brings us to what are you watching?
What am I watching
Yeah.
at the moment? I'm just still watching Severance.
Are you? I haven't started yet. Actually, you know
Uh,
what? I was going to start last night. I fell asleep. I started too late.
no, we were so busy with work last week, so I didn't get to watch much. And then, apart from Severance on the weekend, that's pretty much all I got to watch was the new episode of Severance, unfortunately, which some people said was a bit of a filler, but I think it was we're moving things along. More every question that gets answered, another question gets asked,
Yeah.
which is like we were saying last week, where comparisons to Lost are aplenty. Just question,
Yeah.
answer, more question, question. But no, it's going good. I'm enjoying it. What about yourself?
I just finished watching the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again.
Actually, I lied. I did watch the first episode of Daredevil. I
I was
completely
hoping you
forgot
had.
about that. I completely
Yeah.
forgot about that. Bro, that first 10, 15
Oh,
minutes?
when he's
Whoa.
fighting with, I've had
Bullseye.
a mental blank, Bullseye, and like it's just recreating one of the classic sort of hallway battles that the show is famous for within the first few moments. That we won't give spoilers away for this one because
Okay.
I think a lot of people will be catching
Still
up.
watching
But
it.
that
Yep.
moment that happens after that was one of the most shocking moments and a brilliant way to bring the series back, I think.
Yeah, it was. I was like, whoa, we are going straight back into it here. Like,
Yeah.
no mucking around. That first 15 minutes was
Yeah.
brutal. I was
What
like,
the
how
thing
many
I watched,
knives has this guy got in his
oh,
book?
it just kept coming. When they alluded to Bullseye was about to join the action. All right,
Yep.
so they're sitting in the bar and I think he throws a paperclip and nails a fly to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a throwback to the movie with Ben Affleck,
Oh,
where
was it?
Colin Farrell uses a paperclip to kill that guy.
Oh, yeah, I've
Like
blocked
the
that movie
guy,
out of
he's
my
leaving
brain.
a bar, and this guy's like, "Oh yeah," like yelling stuff at him. He just turns around and unbends this paperclip and throws it at him, and it goes right into his neck and kills him. So yeah,
I
bullseye.
no spoilers, but I do love in the scene a little later on where his hands are completely tied.
Oh,
They
yeah.
ain't letting him even get a fingernail. He
So good. Such a good villain. And of course, you would have seen in all the trailers and everything that Fisk is back and he's brilliant. D'Onofrio is amazing. It sort of hints at Echo and Hawkeye on the happenings in those shows, but it doesn't go into too much detail and you don't need to have watched them to be able to pick up Daredevil Born
and I
Again.
think it's better if it just stays separate, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I
Not
think that's
everything needs the crossover. I know it's nice
no.
sometimes, and when it's this one entire universe, but it's nice to have a show where I can go, I just watch one show. I don't have to watch the
Yeah.
four interconnecting shows.
It's a bit like comic books. Like it used to give me the shits when I had to get like I was a Superman collector. I had to get a Superman every week. But now this next one of the new 52, the next part of this story is going to happen in Batman 59. And I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't want it to happen in Batman 59. I don't want to get a Batman one. I just buy
yeah,
Superman. Like I'm spending all my money on Superman.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a big event comes. Now you need to get these 8 issues of the event because otherwise you're not
Yeah.
going to know what the hell's going on in
Now
Superman.
I have to buy a Flash comic, which I never ever would buy a Flash comic. So you can
I was
stick
actually
your big
thinking
event.
we should talk comics at once. Still have my
You will,
my
because
monthly reads.
yeah, I haven't read a lot lately, and the last few that you've put me onto, I absolutely loved. So, yeah, I'd be keen to hear what you're reading because you've got good taste in that. In fact, recently you put me onto an anime that I've been watching, which is Solo Leveling,
You
which
like it?
is, mate, I love it. I love it. It's the best anime I've seen in years. Like it is incredible. It took a little while for me to understand what was going on a bit because I didn't know much going in, and it sort of starts like it's halfway through.
hmm
Like it's like
Straight in the deep end.
you're straight in the deep end. Like it's like they start halfway through this battle that they're in, and it's like I don't know any of these characters. I don't know what's going on, but it's basically a manga version of Dungeons and Dragons, and it's incredible. Like it's such a clever, amazing, and there's movies as well, right?
I don't know. I'll have to have a look. I know there's
Yeah.
I think 2 seasons of the show, but I'm not sure about movies.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting through more episodes of that. I've only watched the 2 so far, but
Yep.
really great, like so good. I'm really keen to see more. So yeah, thanks for that one.
Anytime.
So what have you been playing?
Pretty much just Marvel Rivals
Yeah.
and GTA 5. That's pretty much it.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I'm probably not going to finish the whole campaign on GTA 5. I've just restarted it. I'm going to play as far as I kind of get the feel for it again. But I might play around with some mods. There's some crazy mods for that game where you
Yeah.
can make it just look so, so beautiful. But mainly it's just to scratch my itch until 6 comes, man. That's the...
Yeah. So I'm playing at the moment. I can talk a little bit about it because obviously I talked about it on the show here a few weeks back when I went to Sydney to play it for 6 hours, Assassin's Creed Shadows, but I just got the review code for it. So I've been playing a lot more of it. When I played it in Sydney, I got to play the prologue and then one of the missions. And I really liked it. Really liked it. But now I like it even more. But I can't tell you too much more about it until the embargo lifts on it. What I can see is that I am playing it. There'll be a review for it around March 19, a little bit after that, I think. So, and I imagine that that'll be the same for a lot of reviewers across the country. They'll all have the same guidelines, even though there's copies of it out there apparently.
Yeah, you were telling me about this, that some retailer jumped
Yeah,
the
so
gun and...
yeah, no, it was a delivery. So when it got pushed back, apparently some of the deliveries still made it to their destination or something, and then they sort of went hidden, and then some copies showed up on Facebook Marketplace and places like that. So it's unfortunate.
They delayed it, did they?
They delayed it, yeah. So they said they delayed it to go work on some of the mechanics to do with the jumping and
So then
parkour.
how does that work? If you delay the game, but you've printed the discs and the discs
Yeah,
are in transit, are you just working on a day one patch and you're just pushing out and hoping? What about
yeah.
the people that don't put the day one patch in? Right?
Yeah, so I have been told there is a day one patch for it. And I think, there's a day one patch for nearly every single game that comes out now. Even Kingdom Come Deliverance, they had a day one patch that was quite substantial. I think
But that
every
means
game I've played.
if you don't have the day one patch, you don't have the internet. I'm sure everyone has the internet, but you
Yeah, yeah.
install the game, you are playing a significantly inferior version of that game. They
Yeah.
had to delay it, right?
I do think a lot of the games these days have on the box requires internet to play,
Yeah.
even though you don't need to be online to play, essentially. So I think that might be one of the big reasons they want you to be able to play. I would suggest that if you are going to play it, make sure you do play the one with the day one patch. Just play it at its best possible self and give it its best possible chance. And I'd say, but not just with this game, but any game,
No, for sure.
you know.
Or do what
So
I do and wait 12 years and play GTA 5.
it's games like Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky, all those games that have come out broken, and then when they're fixed, they are the best possible versions of themselves, but also some of the best games ever made. So
And the waiters feel pretty vindicated on those two, that's for sure.
yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, I held off for 6 years to play that one. Yeah, well, you got the best version. Well done.
I got 18 patches.
Love it. Well, that brings us to the end of the broadcast for this week. It's the Multiplay podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, Luke.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Next week we'll definitely talk comic books a bit next week. We'll get that fit in. Of course, you can watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube. We might even add Twitch next week. We'll see how we're going. We're like adding a stream every week to see how far we can take it and how much we can break it, I guess. And then you can also listen to it after the live broadcast has gone to air. We put it up on Podbean, and it also goes to iHeartRadio and a bunch of others as well. But the best way to find it is by going to dokidarko.com and just following the links. Catch you next week.